Yo, so there was another video I want to share with you. We could talk about some other time by Miss Fanat, Dr. Sarah Fanat, where she said it doesn't matter how much a man pays on a date because it's not about what he pays on the date, but it's about spending time because ultimately a date is about finding out how you can bond with someone if you're going to be with them long term. I thought it was a fascinating comment on dating. And I think it's one of the challenges of dating is that so much of dating is wrapped around temporary pleasure and nothing's really wrapped around a long-term plan. And that's why so many people get into some of the problems they get into in dating
Ooh,
with, with, um, with that major challenge there. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think, and like you said, a lot of that is usually around, the first one, two, three dates. You know what I mean? Like you said, it's not with any long-term commitment in
Hmm.
mind. I
Hmm.
think people are looking at that. Well, I mean, usually the videos that I see is guys complaining about, a girl want me to spend $400 on the first date, and a girl is like, well, yeah, my time is worth blah blah blah, and then the guy will say,
Hmm.
well,
Hmm.
what do
Hmm.
you bring to the table? And this girl is like, well, I
Yeah.
am the table.
Yeah, exactly. I am the prize and yada yada yada. And
And
I'm
yo,
just so
son,
over it.
the rhetoric is it's
Yeah.
exhausting.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
exhausting.
Let's get in this other video, but let me just do one thing because I realized my back is gonna hurt sitting here. I just want to put a pillow behind my back like a juicy older gentleman.
You got your pillow, your maternity pillow.
Yeah, what'd you say?
So you got your maternity pillow all set up. Made
Over
me
here
think
looking like an
about
extra from a
Bad
black
Boys.
college movie with his hat to the back.
Made me think about Bad Boys with Will Sharp Martin. He had to give him that
Little.
pillow for his ass.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was thinking about it while you was away. I don't think it necessarily matters how much someone spends on a date, but I do think the thoughtfulness in the activities can go a long way. I remember on tonight's conversation cards, Trip was like, "Yo, I'm gonna give y'all some of my game for like an extended date." So you start off with coffee. You do a little bit of walking around. You hit a park or something like that. You go to a museum. You talk all day. You look at art, and before you know it, you've talked about enough. You've covered enough topics where somebody can feel like they know you, and from that they can make a decision on if they get sparks or something like that. But the thing about it is, I think sometimes on the guy's side, they can use that to their advantage. They can use that as game because I think men know that women love conversation. So if you're gaming them and you're taking their brain and you're talking about all of this stuff and you're
Or letting
keeping
them
them
talk.
engaged
Yeah.
or letting them talk, yeah, they're just like, oh, by the end of it, yeah, yo, she's ready to come back to the spot.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because I feel like the museum date was the premier date. It was you were the interesting guy if you were taking women on a museum date at one point. For those who were looking for that educated QJ Barker esque type of gentleman, taking a woman to a date in a museum or an exhibit or a gallery was a really different type of date. It was shown to be or perceived to be an investment.
Right.
Now it seemed to be cheap. And it's funny how just every 20 years, it just turns over something different. 20, 30 years ago, that was one of the premier thoughtful dates to do. Now it's just a run of a mill date. And it shows that maybe you're cheap or that you don't have any means in which to entertain or properly engage a woman. It's unfortunate because I think museums offer a lot of opportunity for engagement, discussion, connection. In my opinion, or as they say in the internet, IMHO, in my humble opinion, dates should be, as what Dr. Sarah is saying, an opportunity to get to know somebody, but it's all about how you're dating. I was dating at the time when I was dating to really get to know somebody because I was interested in jumping off into more of a serious commitment or relationship. I had sort of seen the advantage in my own family of what marriages are and what they can do and what people can be together. And that was part of it for me. It just wasn't about like the beat and retreat or the beat and disappear that I think so many people have. If you're going to do that, obviously now with Tinder and the host of other dating apps, you really don't need to do that, because ideally you can find somebody who's going to match with you where it's all just it's just about that. Now they may want some minor engagement up front. You may have to put out for $100-$200 dinner just to show them that you're not a psycho and that you're willing to be a giver. But once you set that tone and you have that bomb conversation or connection, most of the times you just running it up at their house, they running it up at your house, and then it just moves on from that. Maybe some light dinners after that, but you're not making any heavy financial investments moving forward. You're just connecting when you want to connect, or when they want to connect, or when it's mutual. Dating, I believe, where you really are making an investment date over date, month over month, really just involves not only just a financial commitment, but an emotional commitment. And I agree with Dr. Sarah. It shouldn't be, let's go to Bora Bora together or fly me out. I mean, who has the money to fly anyone out? Even the people who fly people out don't have the money to fly people out. I'm talking about people who are millionaires. It's just not feasible all the time, because if it's even feasible for them financially, it may not be feasible for them regarding their schedule.
Wise.
Right? I don't have the time. I need to be in the studio. I need to be on the field. I need to be on the green. I need to be. I maybe get a 2 week or 3 week window. I mean, think about some of these elite athletes who, when they're off season, they may take 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month, to just unwind, decompress, and then they're right back out there. Look at somebody like Kobe. He really wasn't engaging like that outside of his routine. I mean, he talks about getting up at 5 to get to the gym at 6, and you're doing about 4 2-hour routines in a day. That's intense. And then you got your children, you got your wife, and in some cases, some of these guys have side pieces. So the most the side piece is going to get is that dick and a little bit of dinner, and that's it. Hey, enjoy yourself. You can stay in the hotel tonight. I get back home to my family, and that's all you're going to
Right.
get.
That's it.
You're not
You
going
get
to
a
get
couple of
Bora
hours.
Bora. Yeah, you're not going to get Bora Bora. Maybe if I'm in the Olympics, and I'm running up the All-Star team, and I fly you out just because I was really fiending for your coochie, but you're not maybe first class. You ain't gonna be flying out no Gulfstream, no G4, whatever people have. We'll fly you out. You hang out. You be in the stands. You spend a week on me in Greece or wherever the location is at for the Olympics. And then guess what? When they wrap up in Tokyo, Greece, London, Sydney, or any of those places,
Right back to Brooklyn.
exactly, right back to Oklahoma City, right back to Kansas, KC, right back to St. Louis, right back to
Facts.
Scottsdale,
Right back to Compton.
wherever, wherever you may
Ever.
be. You know what I mean? And then your boss is yelling at you because you took an extra week off. You was
You
like, well, I was
know,
with so and so. It's like,
my aunt died, and I just had to take a couple of extra days to be
right?
with the
Because you're under
family.
NDA. You can't say who you're sleeping with sometimes. For the really smart dudes, they
Right.
may have you under NDA. So you can't even
Which
really
is
be like,
so crazy. I mean, I know we're going off the rails here, but I don't even know why you would ask some of these girls to get NDAs when you don't even use protection.
yeah. Because, yeah, the baby ain't covered over the NDA. You're going to have to pay for that. Oh, no. Don't say who the father is. The DNA. Go to get the DNA test. The DNA won't work. It's like, no, I can tell this DNA is under an NDA. It's not gonna work. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy to me. You're right. And then don't use condoms and get someone pregnant. It's like, well, then now there goes the NDA, because someone has to admit and put it on legal documentation that you're the father, and then proceedings usually happen. Courtesy, a la courtesy the court, or I was gonna say a la the
Yeah.
court, and that's it. That's where you're going to end up, and it's unfortunate for a lot of these men who get in these situations, and some of the women as well. But to go back to our point about getting flown out in dates, honestly believe if you are dating, if you're really taking the time to get to know someone because you want an exploring where you can be with someone in the very near future, then make the investment. Investment doesn't have to be crazy either, but taking some time to go to a steakhouse or go to a place, doing a pottery class, doing an art class, doing a cooking class, doing something that's different but novel but allows people to connect is just well worth the time.
As long as it's not Cheesecake Factory.
And I had women in my circle, older women in their 50s, late 40s, saying, "What's wrong with the Cheesecake Factory? I love the Cheesecake
I mean,
Factory.
we
I'll
know that.
go."
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
But
think, and that's funny, they're Generation X women, and they are very much about, I'll go to Cheesecake Factory for two reasons. One, they like Cheesecake Factory and the cheesecake. The second thing is they're all about the date and about the experience of being with a man, because some of them either are not with men or are with men, and they know in order to be with a man, I'm willing to endure or go through, because at the end of the day, I'm just happy if he has a pension. If he has a
hmm
pension and we can build from there, then that's all right. The realities of whoever I was jonesing on 20, 25, 30 years ago would have either got with me and broke up with me, or not even got with me. He just would have hooked up with me and never said he was with me. Or if I got with him now, what's the realities in my late 40s and 50s that's going to mature into something that's worthwhile and noteworthy? For example, the guys in the 90s who were big, Morris Chestnut. Can't think of any other, these black dudes who were really killing the game at the time.
Shamar Moore,
Moore, Tay
Tay
Diggs.
Diggs. Yep.
Yeah, right. Those dudes would have either got with you and bounced, or would not have gotten with you, because sometimes in the industry, it's very, some people argue, incestuous. I wouldn't use the word incestuous, but it's all about the clique and the community. So you come out with an outsider, sometimes that's viewed as, hey, who you bringing around us? We don't know this girl. We don't know this guy. Paula Jai Parker talked
I
about that.
was
Her
just going to
Vlad,
get her
that her
name. Yep.
Vlad, and yeah, right. How she got blackballed essentially because she brought this man who's her husband into the community, and everyone was like, "Nah, man. Yeah, either was he gonna be either me or Sean or whoever else was gonna beat and
Yeah.
marry, but you went in and got some regular dude. All right, so then let regular dude carry you." And,
Right.
she
Let
ended up talking
regular
about,
dude put you in his movies.
yeah, and then she ended up being on welfare and going to the welfare office like, "What you doing in here?" When you ain't getting gigs and you being blackballed, that's a very difficult scenario. And so I think some of these older women know these stories or are aware of these issues in dating celebrities. It's a very much controlled. I always liken Hollywood to the court system in Italy, in the UK, in Europe in the Middle Ages. You just couldn't walk up and not be a prince or be a noble or be known and be like, well, I'm here for the throne. Yeah, come right this way in the back room. We got a
Right
throne
this
for
way.
you. Yeah, we got a throne for you. It's called a graveyard, a cemetery. That's
Hmm.
going to be your throne. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it's kind of something like that in Hollywood. You just can't be an outsider and not be known and think you're going to bogart your way into some man's heart or some woman's heart and think that means something. And I think that's where a lot of the dating realities are unrealistic for most people.
I mean, I feel like it's unrealistic across the board. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like you got dudes out here. I mean, for just, based off of what we see on social media, and even some people I talk to, some men are very like expectations that women are gonna act like a wife right away or show them those wife attributes. And same thing on the other side, you got women who think men are supposed to like roll out the red carpet for them
Absolutely.
and be a gentleman to the 20th degree, and
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know what I'm saying, make cover bills. And it's like, yo, we just met.
yeah,
We're a month in, and you talking about I should be paying your car note, I should be paying your rent, and like
yeah,
what?
yeah. We haven't formed that bond yet.
Right.
And listen,
I don't even know if you like me.
yeah,
Can we start there? I don't even know how you really feel about me. I don't want to say like because I feel like that's kind of
No,
young,
but yeah, but are
but
we bonded? Are we
right.
bonded?
I don't
Are
know
we
how you
saying
feel
we're
about
doing
me.
something together? And for me, that may take 6 to 9 months. Now, of course, it's not just happening in one instant, like a light switch. Like, okay, on the sixth date or the 6 month, I know that I like you. It's a
Happening
crescendo,
over
right?
time, yeah, process.
There is trust being built and connection being built that's increasing and strengthening over the course of time. Now, someone would say, "Well, then I don't give them pussy." Then that's fine. Then don't have sex. Like I mean, there's people who do that all the time. There's a lot of people, religious, not just Christians, but Muslim and other religions who advocate the same type of courting process, the same type of connection. Hold off on the chemistry part so you can get the compatibility right. The chemistry will flow from the compatibility as opposed to vice versa. Not a problem. I believe that that many people are just missing the point because they're using dating sometimes as subterfuge, right? It's they're using dating as a cover to get to the sex. I mean, you've talked about this previously on the podcast, not being dishonest so that you can get what you think is your reward instead of just being upfront about what you're really into.
Yeah,
Because now with the internet, with the long tail of the internet, as I always talk about Chris Anderson's famous book from the aughts, there's something for everybody. There's no reason now for you to continue to those old tropes and beguile people into, tricking them into the booty or love bombing them into the booty and all this other stuff, or love bombing them into the sex. There's plenty of people, if you're just, I believe, crafty enough in an honest way and just say, hey, listen, respectful. That's what I mean by crafty, more respectful, and say, hey, listen, this is what I'm into. Are you into this? Yes
yeah.
or no? We can
We got
build from
similar
there.
kinks.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
explore.
Or even saying, listen, the guys I'm with, I'm looking for them to do this and I do that, right? So I am willing to do some more wife stuff up front, but I need help with, paying my bill or my whole food bill that I eat organic. And hey, some people are open to that. But when you're trying to, just sandwich your way in with a bunch of lies, crowbar it open with a bunch of lies, it's not gonna work, and it's not gonna last that long.
Yeah, and that's what ends up turning people off to the dating process when they
Yeah,
like, yo, like I came with honest intentions. You could have just told me this what you was into, and if I was with, like, give me the choice.
yeah. But I've said this before. I think some people, because of their traumas or because of some of the ways they're meeting their psychological needs, they use those covers. Those covers are a part of their love process, part of their connection process, part of getting what they want. They want you to feel confused. They want you to feel befuddled. They want you to feel flummoxed. They want you to feel distorted and distracted. And then, the sex or the coupling or the hookup happens in the bed of all that confusion, and that then leads to more trauma and or drama, and they feed off of that. So it's not just the sex; they're also feeding off the context in which the sex is happening. It's not just sex and you feel good, I feel good, great. No, there is a transgressive quality they need to go with the sex in order for the sex to be fulfilling,
Good,
in order for
yeah,
them to feel satiated by the sex.
and
It needs,
excited.
yeah. The transgressive element needs to be there. Dr. Esther Perel talks about that in her book, Mating in Captivity. So a lot of people are used to having sex and it's a transgressive act. So once you remove the transgression, you remove the stimulation, you remove the satiation, right? Satisfaction. And so a lot of people will need to love bomb you. They need to have you believe. They need to have you swoon. And once you swoon, man or woman,
You're gone.
then
They got
yeah,
you.
yeah, I got
Got
you.
you, bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Then we have sex, and then it's I'm not, well, that's what they needed. They needed that. So you have to, again, place the compatibility in front of the chemistry. You're not going to get them all, but it's a stronger vetting process for weeding out those types of individuals who are looking for that type of play with you. And if you don't want that type of play, then you say goodbye.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys are probably turning their nose up at that because it's like, yo, why would I withhold sex when that's a lot of the times what's going to keep me around anyway? But it's like, yo, I mean, again, to your point, if you just want to, if you just want that, be honest up front. Yo, you never know what some of these people are open to.
Mm-hmm.
You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Some of the women that you're trying to gain, you know what I mean, or like take their brain into the bedroom. Yo,
Mm-hmm.
they might be open
Yeah, yeah,
if you just told them that because listen, they need it too.
yeah. And also though, you're gonna get a lot of no's. You're gonna get, no, that's not gonna work for me, right? As if,
Right.
and
If you're
look,
playing a
I'm gonna keep it
numbers
real.
game, yeah.
If lying and cheating didn't work, people would stop lying and cheating. Now, that doesn't mean some people lie compulsively, some people cheat compulsively, some people, again, are satisfying psychological needs with that behavior. Whether it works or not, that process is what they need in order to feel good about what they're putting out into the world or the outcomes they think they're getting from that behavior. Whether it's functional or not for them. Some people, though, will lie and cheat for as a means to an end. And again, if you didn't lie, if you say, "Where were you last night?" and you say, "Well, I was out with my homeboy Jay, and I was really out with this girl you don't want me out with," and she goes, "Okay," because she trusts me, she trusts Jay, and she's not going to follow up. It worked. It worked, right?
Right. She
Right.
was
If
none the
every time I
wiser.
lied, I
There
got
was no
shocked.
drama. Yeah.
Yeah. If every time I lie, I got shocked or something terrible happened, people would stop lying. But that's not how it works. So to say that lying does not work would be a lie. Lying works, obviously, for certain couples and for certain situations, for certain people. There are times you drop a lie and you get away with it. And so when you stop lying and you confront people and you tell them who you really are and show them who you really are, then at the end of the day, you're going to get more, "That's not for me," and walk away, as opposed to you lying and getting what you want out of the situation. It's up to you how you're going to navigate your ethics and your morality and the consequences that come with either side of the behavior, because there's consequences for exhibiting both behaviors.
Yeah. And I know you're using that language facetiously, but lying does not work. I don't want people to really be
No,
like,
I'm just saying,
also, I'm saying, I know
yeah,
you
yeah,
why
yeah.
you're saying it and you're phrasing it that way. You're using that phraseology, but I'm just like, you know, to the people who are looking at this and probably using that as a justification to go out
Hmm.
and keep using that, doing that behavior. It's like, no, lying does not work. It
Yeah,
can stop you from getting being in certain
yeah. A short
circumstances.
short term payoffs. Yeah,
Yeah,
it doesn't
but
have
it
long term
doesn't work,
payoffs. Yeah. Unless you have the stamina just to keep lying.
which no one does. As my grandmother used to say,
No.
lies have short tails.
Yeah, exactly.
You
So
could pull a cover up over your head, but your feet gonna still show.
yeah, Perfect. I love that. At the end of the day, you're lying to her about hanging out with Jay when you was out with this girl you weren't supposed to be with. Long term, that's going to, present problems for you.
When you could just be honest, and you might find out that your person is open to you doing you, and they might not even be interested in doing them. They just want the honest. I think a lot of the times that's what it is. People just want the truth, the
Yeah.
honesty.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, yo, give me the choice to say I'm okay with this or I'm not. But for you to make up my mind for me and just be out here living and doing you and, you know, potentially putting me at risk with, I don't know how you moving with these other people. You may not be protected, but
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, for
crazy
sure.
situation.
For sure. I hope that many people will choose to do right by themselves and others by just being upfront and honest about what they need or what they perceive is important to them.
You got life and death before you. Choose life.
So let's switch gears. Let's just go into the other topic. Let's talk about marriage as a bad deal. I want to jump in with this video that was done on, I forgot the name of the podcast, but it's two comedians. We'll jump right in with this video real quick. All right. As always, I toss it to you. Moving to the second part of our show, marriage being a bad deal. Do you think it's a bad deal?
Yes and no. I mean, I think it has a lot of benefits to it, but I think the way that we engage with it operationally is a bad deal.
Yeah.
Like the contract, the way that it's written up and governed by the state, and all of the vows are the same. Like I think that's where, to me, where it starts off on the wrong foot, is that all the vows are the same. And I am like, me and my partner couldn't make our own vows and go to the state and have them legislated for our home, and this be our specific contract for our home. We can't do that. It has to be, you know, what the state recognizes as a legal binding agreement or contract. So like, I think that's where it goes, to me, where it starts off on the wrong foot, is that marriages don't really belong to the people who are in them.
Yes, I think that's a good thing. But go
When
ahead.
when you say you think it's a good thing that it doesn't belong to the people that are in them,
Yeah, I mean, when I look at traditional African marriages or marriages that happen within communities where there's traditional African marriage of going to the family, I want to be with this man. I mean, I want to be with this woman. The man will go to the family. I want to be with this woman. They consult with their daughter. Do you want to be with this dude? Yeah, I actually love him. Okay, so let's have the dowry. Let's do everything together. And once it's all said and done and the woman moves into the guy's house, that's the marriage. Then the community is now connected to that marriage, and the marriage is connected to that community. And they found in certain countries in Africa that once they've returned back to the traditional African marriage model, their marriages were lasting longer, as opposed to the Western model, which is we are a nuclear family, we are a unit, we exist unto ourselves, we are in a silo, and he's my husband, she's my wife, and these are our children. Those marriages were falling down. And what I believe is being discovered, and this hasn't been sufficiently researched by according to any kind of social science, scientific method or methodologies that I'm aware of. It's just what I've experienced in conversations and discussions with people who have looked at marriages in Africa, is the support. Marriages need support. So you just can't get divorced. When there's an issue, the community pushes into the home and says, all right, what's going on up in here? Well, he ain't doing nothing. He ain't cooking. He ain't cleaning. Oh, well, yo, she ain't showing no dick. And it's like, all right, now the community, the elders of the community hold judgment, and they hold court. And you're going to work this out because your marriage is connected to us and we're connected to you. So you just can't get up and get upset that, he keeps putting his slippers in the doorway you wanted by the bed. You can't get upset that she hasn't shown up and done what she needs to do. You got to make sure that you're following suit in order for the marriage to thrive.
yeah, no, that part I would definitely agree with. I think that's the second piece that I was going to talk about, was that marriages are not knitted in the community. You know what I mean? Like, they are silos. And when I was talking about they don't belong to the people who are in them, I just mean, even if we went to our community and we said, hey, this is how we feel about each other, blah, 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 it's going to be like, well, this is the tradition. This is what you got to do. There really isn't, to me, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of room for growth and evolution in our understanding of marriage. And I think that when you just rest on the laurels of tradition, I think because most of us don't have a traditional mindset, we're not set up to succeed in that. So I'm just, I feel like it's a bad deal in that regard. I think like I said, it does have a lot of benefits in terms of teaching people how to be interdependent and rely on each other and create community. I think the nuclear family to me is still just like, I don't know, man. When I'm just walking on the street and I see parents and their kids, the love that's shown between them, like, yo, it can brighten a day. It can force some of my ideas about God and God's love. So to me, the nuclear family is still a very beautiful thing, and it has a whole lot of benefits. Like I was saying, going back to people not necessarily owning their marriages, to me is too reliant on the state and government. And I think there's more localization of ownership that can govern marriage. Like you talked about community.
Yeah, I can totally, dig that to some extent. I think that's open for critique and review and critique of the government, not critique of your argument, but critique of the government and the role the government plays. I think actually marriage is a great deal. I believe that marriage, when it's done right with the right person and you're connected, it's a wonderful thing. When it's done bad, it's horrible. It's like sleeping on a bed of spikes every night. It's just not a fun. It's it's even hard to describe the type of horrors bad marriages give to human beings.
Oh, it ain't hard to describe.
I mean, for
You
me,
see
to me,
Hiroshima.
stating the facts is one thing. To describe and impart the pain at the depths that people feel the pain of marriage is hard. Just to, obviously, we're not telepaths, so I just can't project into your mind or to your spirit or your soul what I'm feeling. You use words, which sometimes words I call clunky technology because they're great for communicating, but they're sometimes bad for resonance because you don't really get a sense of resonance when someone's describing what transpired, what happened, what occurred, and how they're either recovering from it or they're swimming through it. Sometimes they're doing both at the same time. And it's just not I believe easy to do that, and that's when marriage is a bad deal. Marriage, though, I think on paper works very well for people who know how to work their marriages, and people have arrangements that work for them that may be non-traditional but make the marriage work. And I think we have to also start with, what does it mean for a marriage to work? That's a very difficult thing. I always say marriages are like fingerprints. Everyone is a fingerprint. Every fingerprint's unique. Everyone can be married, but a marriage is unique. You could be married. You and I could be married to the same chick at different times, and we would get two different women.
Yeah. I mean, I know some people who've been married for 30, 40 years who have been like 10 of it was great, 20, 30 of it was horrible, but
Yeah,
they wouldn't trade it because of the long term of the time that they've got to spend with this person and grow and all of that stuff.
yeah,
So,
yeah. And
you
some people
know,
would say that's a bad deal. I'm out of here.
right.
Or once that person dies, let's say they're older and I'm free. I've heard so many stories of people being married to individuals who had addictions, sex addictions and spending money. And now that guy passes away, that I'm thinking of one particular issue, the husband's passed away. And now, I'm free. I'm living finally a free life, a free life.
Probably because they were in it for happiness. That's what part of what makes marriage a bad deal is if you come into it with the understanding or with the desire for it to complete you or for it to make you happy or for it to impact you on an emotional level. Like if that's what you're coming into it for, I think that's what can make it a bad deal for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because people are dynamic. Like even the person that you love the most could hurt you in the smallest way one day, and it can have the greatest impact over the next 5, 10, 20 years. And it to them it could be so minuscule, but to you it was like, you know what I mean? Mount Vesuvius. Like
Yeah.
you were just like, yo, everything was so good, and it was just like, yo, we didn't go on that vacation that one time because I had to work. Yeah, but I thought you were a man of your word and you're supposed to have this integrity and do what you say. And he's like, yo, come on, yo. Every other trip we said we were supposed to take, we've taken. It was just this one time we could, but for that woman or that person, it was just that one thing that made it, you know, it had that lasting impression and they just couldn't get over it. So,
Did Beyonce say the first time I said no was like I never said yes? You know,
son,
for a
that's how
lot of
some
people,
people
that's
look
real.
at it.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
people are like that. And then you realize that people are just users and abusers and leeches.
Or they just had the wrong idea about what marriage is about.
Yeah, that too. But they're also leeches and emotional vampires. That is where I think the rubber meets the road with you having to make decisions about who you're with and how to make a better situation out of that, whether it's with that person or in a different scenario. I want to return back to the subject because I know we're running up against our time here. You know, I hope that whoever's listening, people who are listening to this episode, are encouraged to find committed relationships that work for them, that deal with what you said, the localization of that scenario, that marriage, that commitment, that relationship among their friends and the community could help them build it up and make it stronger, and they don't get lost in the sauce of their own ego, of their own expectations, or even their partner's ego or partner's expectations, or the ego that you guys have created together, this monster you've created together, this beast you've created together, where both of your egos have mated and now have progeny running around your relationship that are tearing up the home, the spiritual emotional home that you're trying to keep safe and build. Your egos have created these children that are just tearing it, destroying the fabric of your connection. So I just hope that people are encouraged from that at some level.
I would also add to that, like, please don't get lost in the sauce of hashtag couple goals and social media and Hollywood and TV and Disney making you think, love and marriage is supposed to be gumdrops and butterflies and everything nice and beautiful and lovely and romantic. And don't get lost in that sauce either,
Yeah,
because
for sure.
it's a hard road.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But it could be. It doesn't have to be as hard because you have somebody that's down with you to walk that path.
For sure. For sure. For sure.
And that was, to me, was one of the biggest benefits of marriage is teamwork. Like, really knowing you got somebody down for you, and there's a lot of things that could be done with the two heads put together.
Unstoppable. Literally unstoppable. Till next time, thank you guys for listening. Check us out at www.lovegodlovesexpodcast.net. Lots of free goodies there. If you haven't joined our email list, you're missing out because we have a lot of free content we're giving out and continue to put out. So thanks for listening. Until next time, Heath,
Jamie, y'all be good.
take care. Peace.